Hey guys, how's it going? And thanks for coming. I'm Nick, and hopefully you enjoyed your Memorial Day weekend. But we still have some stuff to talk about. We talked about updates with the stimulus, all the unemployment, student loan forgiveness, but what I haven't touched on yet, which could be much bigger in the future, is an EIP card, or a debit card that you could get that has the stimulus payment on it. So instead of a check, you get a debit card and there's free money on it. So the huge debate is, could that be great? Is it convenient, or is that bad? Is that pushing you in a corner? So I really want to look at what they're planning on, like what is it going to do, how it works, and is it dangerous for us? Again, if you missed previous videos of what was going on with the new stimulus bill going on, what happened after the vote, the adjustments, and the student loan forgiveness, you could definitely check those videos out. So what EIP actually stands for is Economic Impact Payment, because so many people have been impacted and they're struggling, so they're trying to help people out. So the plan is they're trying to send this card out to millions of people. Millions of Americans could get their stimulus payment on a prepaid debit card. So I researched this a lot. We'll go through a couple articles. Roughly 4 million Americans should soon receive their government stimulus payment through a prepaid debit card. The cards are being mailed to people who haven't provided their banking information to the IRS, such as low-income households without bank accounts or taxpayers who didn't typically receive a tax refund. So a lot of people already received their stimulus payment. Of course, there are talks of a new stimulus payment going out soon. There are more proposals going out, but that's all theory. So the plan is they want to start testing out, instead of sending out checks, they send out cards, and they're going to push like, hey, if there's more stimulus, they will just reload the card instead of waiting, I don't know how long it's been taken out, months to get your stimulus payment. So how does it work? Let's go over the good. Why is it convenient? Well, you could actually go to their website. They already have it set up. It's EIPcard.com, and you could look into more information on that, frequently asked questions and everything like that. So some things that you could do with the card is you could simply just buy it anywhere that accepts Visa. So it's very similar to a debit card or a credit card that you already have. You can transfer it to a bank account with no fee or anything like that, they're saying. Or if you want to pull it out of an ATM, there is a locator here. There are thousands of locations that you could actually go to the ATM to get your money that way. So it does kind of make it more convenient. If you don't have a bank account, which some people don't, then you just use the card, and there you go. Basically everyone accepts, or a lot of people definitely accept, Visa cards. As for the short-term convenience, it's almost the same amount of convenience as like you're gonna get mailed a check versus a card. There's really no benefit there. But for continuous stimulus, which a lot of people are talking about, they're trying to push the next bill on, the Fed is talking about, they will print anything necessary to help the economy out, so more stimulus is definitely possible. So if there is more stimulus, they will just reload that card instead of waiting months for some people to get it. So that is more convenient. So obviously, if this is a test, and if it works, they will then roll it out to more people, so they would then have the cards. And that's kind of the good and the conveniences. I mean, it's pretty straightforward of why some people might want the card. But is there a danger to it? What are the cons? What's the bad side to having this card? Well, some people might not like the privacy thing. If you buy something on a card, they will see what you're doing with this money. So I'm researching both sides to this. One side, they're saying that they could see all the transactions that you're actually conducting, versus on the other side, it's actually illegal for the government to actually see what you're purchasing. You have your own privacy. Whether that's actually possible and if they're going to obey that could be another question. Now I also want to break down for you something that the Fed has actually talked about before, is digital dollars, of how they would eventually, there's no cash in the system, there's just everything digital. And a lot of this is already existent. Like there's already debit cards and credit cards. There's no actual cash. So right now, what we kind of have, there's the financial institution, you got the bank, they give you cash, and then you use the cash to buy your product or service. What people are worried about is that what they're trying to do is get rid of cash, so then it just goes from the bank straight to the product or service. There's nothing in the middle. Everything is part of the banking system. Now, governments, banks, and the Fed might want to do this because, previous crises and recessions and depressions across multiple countries, a lot of people ran on the banks. They tried to pull their money out of the banking system so it's safe. They didn't want to lose their money. Well, if they do this, people can't do that, so that makes the bank stronger. Some might see that as a good thing because that means the bank is always going to have money there. They could always have liquidity. They could always lend, and then they're just losing money overnight. So we want to push this a little further just to see what you guys have to say. If you agree with this or not, definitely let's talk about it in the comment section. But there is no doubt right now interest rates are low, dropping at 0%, or even other countries are at negative interest rates. So you could see at Switzerland, they're at negative 0.75%, Denmark, negative 0.6%, Japan, negative 0.1%, Sweden, Spain, and also the United States are at 0 or close to 0% right now. Now, some might see this as a huge con against the card because of this negative interest rate environment. I'm pushing this a little bit further. If this turns into an actual digital dollars, like this could be just the first step. I mean, there's already credit cards and everything out there, so we might be in the second or third step. So if this does move us into no cash, and we go into negative interest rate environments, President Trump is calling for negative interest rates. The market is expecting negative interest rates next year. Now, it is still interesting that the Fed is saying that they're not going negative. However, at the same time, we are in a crisis and a recession, so sometimes something has to be done whether we like it or not. So that's why some are saying negative interest rates could try to stimulate even more because it just pays people to borrow money. So pushing the envelope, the ultimate danger that a lot of people are looking at these cards of getting rid of cash altogether in the future is that if you want to pull cash out of anywhere, you cannot. And the problem with negative interest rates is if that actually hits your savings account, that you actually have to pay the bank a fee to hold your money there and you can't pull it out. That's the problem. That you only have this card. You only have a cashless society. You can't pull it out because there is no cash, and you're paying the bank a negative interest rate on your savings account. That's the ultimate danger that some people are worried about. What would you think of that scenario? So what does this all mean? Basically, narrowing it all down, could this lead us to being dependent more on banks? We can't make our own decisions in like financial aspects. And savers turn into losers because you're losing money while it's all in the bank. Technically, savers are still losers right now because interest rates on bank accounts are still declining. Inflation is higher than a savings account rate, so you're actually losing money. Things are going up faster than your savings account. So we technically already have real negative rates, but they don't want you to know that. So those are some of the big pros and cons of this card. So what do you think? Is it a good thing or a horrible thing in your mind? And just a little fun fact, like we just read before, it is kind of interesting that they're pushing it out to low income families, incentivizing that like they have to use the card. It's not like they could pull it out if they want to. They're going to spend it. So given more stimulus could definitely come in the future, how long that may take, we don't know because of all this political garbage. But I would really, really, really like to know what you guys have to say about this card. I could go on and on and on about this topic. I know I was kind of like jumping all over the place, but I wanted to give you both sides of how it could be good or bad. So hopefully you liked it, guys. Hopefully you learned a little bit about something, what's going on right now, because I know a lot of people are struggling and still waiting on their first stimulus check. So if you are and still want to be updated of what's going on, don't forget to subscribe for more videos and how to handle what we're going through in this crisis right now. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.